I used to be lonely till I learned about living alone. I found other things to keep my mind on.
You're listening to Where You Live with Gene Sullivan.
Back to Where You Live. I'm Gene Sullivan, broadcasting from the True North Painting Studios. The show is also brought to you by American Family Insurance, the Kim Bennett Agency, and Extreme Exteriors. You can count on Extreme Exteriors for expert installation of exterior siding, roofing, soffits, fascia, decks, windows, and more. With their knowledge and experience, they can design the perfect solution to make your home beautiful and energy efficient, saving you maintenance and money for years to come. Give them a call at 763-441-1334 and tell them Gene sent you. It's time now to hear from the Community Associations Institute. The CAI Minute is brought to you by New Concepts Rental Management. Whether you're an accidental landlord or a seasoned investor, New Concepts Rental Management can advise and guide you through every aspect of the business. Give us a call at 952-922-2500.
Are you a volunteer in your homeowner association? Maybe a residential property manager wanting to increase your industry knowledge and obtain professional credentials in property management. Are you a vendor or professional offering services to homeowners and associations or property managers? If you said yes to any one of those questions, then join the Community Association Institute. The CAI is a great organization, helping you be informed and more proficient in your homeowner association board member or property manager role. It's also a great way to network with potential clients. For nearly 40 years, CAI has provided education and resources to volunteer homeowners who govern community associations and the professionals who support them. Visit cai-mn.com to learn more. That's cai-mn.com. The Minnesota chapter of CAI holds monthly managers' luncheons, board member education training, property manager certification training, and much more. It also produces a bi-monthly informative magazine called Minnesota Community Living. Why not join the Community Association Institute today? You can do so online at cai-mn.com and select membership.
If you're just joining us, our guest on today's show is attorney Donna DiMaggio Berger, who is a shareholder in the firm of Becker and Poliakoff. She has written in, I guess it was a blog, wasn't it, Donna, originally?
Yeah, and my blog is actually a national blog, Gene. It's condo and HOA So I try to touch on things that, span the nation in terms of being of interest to associations.
Yes, and and you're talking about this Florida statute that is requiring for anything that would be considered a material alteration at the property that you need to have a majority of the homeowners who have the opportunity to vote on this before this takes place. Now, the state statute says 75%, or whatever if the governing documents state a lower number, then that would be the one that would prevail, correct?
Correct.
And one of the questions I wanted to ask about this particular statute is the way that it is written. Doesn't this just add an additional layer of cost to an HOA in the operations as a property because of having to double check with an attorney to make sure that this is considered a material alteration, or maybe it's not considered a material alteration?
Well, I don't know if Florida leads the country in being litigious, although I suspect we have our fair share of complaints down here. I think it's a fair enough point that by requiring a membership approval on this, you're virtually guaranteed that boards are really going to have to reach out to attorneys and get an opinion. Hey, is this a material alteration? And boards that have done this over the years, they get to know, okay, I'm going to change the paint from beige to purple. That's a material alteration. I'm changing the roof. But there's still those gray areas. What if I need to do this because the county or the city have told me I need to do this? Do I still need to go to the members and get that that approval. In Florida, and particularly in the last 2 decades, I guess the thought has been we want to make sure that the members have a vote on just about everything. And frankly, there's 2 schools of thought on that. One school of thought is that's bottlenecking. That's going to be a problem. And the other school of thought is that's necessary because this is their community, so they should have a say.
Yeah, and I understand both of those concerns. One of the things that I always take a look at when I look at a state legislature and in what they do in coming up and creating new laws and statutes for HOA living, I wonder, and my listeners know that I talk about a walk in a mile of my shoes test first. Is this something that they would put that they're putting on someone else, something that they would put on themselves in their governance? And
that's such a you know where that came to pass is the Florida legislature, I'd say about 7 years ago, was debating whether or not we should implement term limits in 1-year term limits for board members. We've had some people down here that have been serving for 10, 15 years, but mainly because it's not such an attractive job, is it? Serving as a volunteer on your board. And we went to them and said, well, how much could you get done if you had a 1-year term limit? Well, so I think that's a really good point. Are we expecting more of these volunteer boards than what we would even expect from our elected officials?
Yeah, I think what I see happening, and I think it's probably common in all state legislatures everywhere, there is an idea or thinking that people, because they are not a commercial investor of property, they don't think that they may have the same sophistication and knowledge to be able to make decisions. But to me, what's interesting is, we have as a nation a long, proud heritage of self-governance. I mean, even the state legislature is that of self-governance. We elect among ourselves people who are going to have the ability and the authority to make laws concerning what's good for the people in the state of Minnesota. And that's fine, and people don't have to have any special training there. But when it comes to homeowner associations, boy, watch out. We better, before they get elected, instead of dealing with millions of people, they may be dealing with 50. They may be dealing with 100. They better be trained because Lord knows they couldn't be able to govern themselves. And so
we're doing certification down here, but I've always had a saying that people live up or down to your expectations of them. And if I'm hearing you correctly, if our expectations are so low that we feel we need to take all these steps, perhaps it's becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. I mean, we have a front-page article today in the Sun-Sentinel about a HOA president who, stole close to $80,000 from the association. And those are the kind of things down here that we hear about. And do I think they're the rule? No, I think they're the exception. Do I think we need to do everything we can to encourage the best candidates to run for these communities? Absolutely, yeah. But it is definitely a balancing act.
Yeah, I think the fallacious thought is that bad things happen, and you're right. When that happens, you want to ask the question, could that been prevented? But there is almost a thinking of a zero tolerance, and people saying we've got to come up with some law, some way to prevent this from happening 100%, and that's just not humanly possible, I think.
Let me tell you something funny. We came up with this certification that you can either take a class, and there's wonderful classes. We teach them, and management companies teach them, and the state teaches them. Or you can sign a certificate saying that you've read and understand and will uphold all the governing documents and rules and regulations. And the point was that the people who are least inclined to read it might be the ones who are most inclined to sign that certificate. Yeah. So what have we really accomplished?
Exactly. Now, I want to clarify with this law, it's not what we're talking about here before a material alteration can take place. We're not talking about having a special meeting where you have a quorum and you have to have 75% of the people approve. We're talking about 75% of all the members need to approve before this material alteration takes place.
That is correct. If their documents are silent or don't provide for a lower threshold, that's correct.
Okay.
The only alternative to that, and it does happen, Gene, is if the alteration. I had one community where they needed to surround their generator with a concrete structure. They were not going to wait to get that approval because every day that they went past the city's demand was a day that they would have been receiving a penalty.
See, now that's interesting. You do that was a question I want to follow up with. Do municipalities or states understand this with requirements, and they would give an association that kind of time? It sounds like the answer is no.
The answer is no. It's a big whopping no. And a lot of times, we've had local counties and cities actually penalize associations because they can't get into someone's unit. The city needs to get in to check that the smoke detector's working, and maybe Mrs. Smith, I apologize to any Mrs. Smiths who are listening, says, no, you're absolutely not coming into my unit. So then they need to go, and they need to get a court order to get into the unit, and every day that passes, you could be looking at monetary fines. So the answer is no. There's unfortunately, a pretty big disconnect about the constraints under which boards typically operate.
Which to me would be a big reason why if certification is needed for board members, maybe certification is needed for those who are going to serve at the state legislature or city council where they are.
I just want to clarify. You're the one who said that.
Yes. Okay, that's fine. We can go on record with that. Hey, that's about all the time that we have right now. Donna, thanks so much for visiting with us today and weighing in and sharing with us a little more about this law in Florida.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Gene. Thank you.
That was attorney Donna DiMaggio Berger with the law firm of Becker and Poliakoff. We're going to take a break right now, so don't go away. More of Where You Live after these messages.